introducing yourself. I'd like to invite Dale. Would you like to join us up front? James? We started, the Sales and Marketing Society wanted to do something more with our group besides educate and help us with sales and marketing and things like that. And we decided to get to create a student scholarship fund. Last year was our first year to give a scholarship out. And we now have our second winner, Andrea Morris. Would you please come join us? And James Nato is here. Last year's president helped me give Andrea her check. Because James always liked big checks. So we decided a lot of big checks. I said, James, come help us give the big check out again this year. She's at College of Charles. We're going to let you speak for a minute. You have to tell us what you're going to be doing with our big checks. So, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Andrea Bruce. I'm going to be a junior this year at the College of Charleston, and I'm an international business major with an international studies minor. And in addition to helping me out this fall with all my tuition and stuff, I'm going to be studying abroad in the spring this year, going to Florence, Italy. So this money will really help out with that because tuition is just as expensive over there. So thank you very much for this scholarship, and I really appreciate it. So I am honored to call Amy my friend and our district attorney.
In December of 2010, I was the Deputy District Attorney General. I was the first female in Shelby County to hold that position. And then what that job does is basically keep all of the crap out of the District Attorney General's office. Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah.
All right. The job of the Deputy DA is the right-hand man. I was the first woman, and you basically keep all the crud out of the DA's office. And I had been performing that job for just a few months after the retirement of James Challen, who was the Deputy District Attorney in Shelby County for many, many years. And he retired and moved to Asheville, North Carolina. And in November, as you know, of 2010, Bill Haslam had just been elected governor of the state of Tennessee. Phone calls began going back and forth between the Haslam transition team and Bill Gibbons. General Gibbons at the time was your district attorney, and as you recall from if you're a political history buff, he had also campaigned during the primary for a gubernatorial primary spot and backed out of that race, and Governor Haslam went on to be elected to the governorship. And so the transition team began calling Bill Gibbons. And Gibbons called me into his office one day before Thanksgiving, and he said, I got something to tell you. He said, Haslam keeps hounding me about taking a position with his cabinet as Department of Safety and Homeland Security. And I've been a prosecutor for 21 years, and I'm known for making facial expressions in court when I can't speak out. And I said, that sounds like an awful job. You told him no thank you, right? And he said, well, I hadn't told him no thank you yet, but I've told him there are some obstacles to that. First of all, Memphis is my home, and I don't want to move to Nashville. Second of all, I love being DA. And I said, right, because being the district attorney is the coolest job in the world. And he said, I'm just letting you know. And I said, well, if it's not going to happen, why are you letting me know? And he said, well, the obstacles that I throw out to the transition team, they keep telling me not a problem, not a problem, not a problem. We can handle that. And if I take the job, I'm going to ask that he appoint you as the District Attorney General. Well, that's kind of when I started listening. Job one will always be suppression enforcement of the law, holding people accountable for their actions. But I feel very passionately that my office plays a very important role in prevention and intervention. Because we know in Shelby County that we are not going to arrest and prosecute our way out of some of the issues we face. Last year alone, my domestic violence prosecution unit, which is a vertical team of prosecutors who handle nothing but domestic violence in a courtroom that handles nothing but domestic violence, they inherited almost 8,000 new cases in one calendar year. Those are staggering figures to fall on the shoulders of 10 prosecutors. We've got children, 9, 7, 8 years old, being booked into juvenile court for raping. Those aren't problems that we're going to solve by locking those kids up and throwing them in detention. Those are problems that have started long before, and we see the back end of it. We see the effects of it when we have a new victim. We talk a lot about the cycle of crime and how frustrating it is. I got a text message one Friday night from my good friend Jennifer Nichols, who also now heads up my special victims unit. All her team of prosecutors does every day is deal with child physical abuse, child sexual abuse, and adult rape. You want to talk about job burnout and job stress? Come follow one of them around for half a day. But it's that team of prosecutors that handles those types of cases every day, and they will now make sure justice is done for Maurice Brown Jr. But she texted me one Friday night and she said, we just locked up a 15-year-old on sexual battery. And I texted back and I said, well, I'd like to think that's unusual, but I know that happens every day. Why are you letting me know? And she said, well, this was a young lady that we took out of foster care last month. Why'd we take her out of foster care? Because she was being sexually abused. So now the victim has become the defendant and we have a new victim. And when you know things like that, when you read cases like that, when you talk to these faces day in and day out, you know that we have to play a part in prevention and intervention. And so it's why on any given day, if you were to just mosey into 201 Poplar, you might find one of my prosecutors standing in court asking for the death penalty, as they are this week for a man who killed somebody who has a prior murder conviction. And you might go down the hall and find one of my prosecutors in a courtroom asking a judge to give a defendant a second chance, to let this defendant who keeps breaking into cars, yes, I know he's breaking into cars and I know he's victimizing people, but the reason he's breaking into cars, Your Honor, is he's addicted to cocaine. And if we can address that addiction, we're going to make him a stronger person. And on a bigger scale, we're going to make Shelby County stronger because we're going to have less victims down the road 6 weeks from now, 9 weeks from now. And that's going to make all of us fiscally sounder, emotionally sounder, and physically stronger if we can take a bite out of that recidivism rate. You may also find one of my prosecutors or me in school talking to our wonderful young people, our most valuable and our most vulnerable resource. 1 in 4 girls will be sexually abused. 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused. And I will take this opportunity to give you my soapbox speech. If you suspect a child is the victim of abuse, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's sexual, every one of you in this room, under the law of the state of Tennessee, and don't make me indict you because I will, has a duty to pick up the phone and call.